Hi folks, so as you can see I'm outside Skipton Castle, and this is where Lady Anne Clifford was born in 1590, and she was the only surviving child of George Clifford, 3rd Earl of Cumberland. When he died, his estate went to his brother rather than going to his surviving child, and not surprising, Lady Anne was pretty upset about that. And so she spent the next 36 years fighting for her right to the inheritance of his estate. When she inherited the estate, she then spent the next 26 years, from the age of 60 to 86, restoring all the estate, mainly castles, including Skipton Castle where she was born, and many others between here and Penrith, or near Penrith, where she eventually died. So I'm doing the Lady Anne's Way, 100 miles from Skipton to Penrith. So let's go, see how we do. Come on folks. So in the woods over there I can see a flagpole peeping out, which means I know that's where the castle is. Skipton Castle. And it goes down here. We have Skipton itself. I've just come up that hill to join the castle here, and now that's the direction we're going, in a northerly direction. Yeah, keeps the path, and here you have one of the first signs we see of Lady Anne's Way. Wonder what the other ones are. Dales Highway, which I've actually done. That says Grassington Road, which is the major road we're going to overcross now, and we are actually aiming to get to Grassington today. Which off the top of my head, I think about 18-19 miles, and I just want to get north, a little bit north of Grassington, to probably do a wild camp. I love this sign. If you hear a shout of 4, a golf ball may be heading towards you. Crouch, cover your head with your arms and count to 10. Well, to say I felt very exposed going across there is an understatement. Almost expecting something to happen at any moment. There are some golfers right in the far distance, but I was totally fine. I suppose it's still a little bit early. Okay, onward. I think we're away from the golf course now, so we should be fine. No crouching. So we're walking towards Emsey now, and when I was looking back, so up there in the distance, that hill there, I thought, I wonder what that's called. Not surprisingly, Emsey Crag. Well, you might think going into the distance there's an ordinary path, but I've never seen this before. It's actually a good tarmacked path going right through the centre of the field. That's really good. Not likely to get muddy feet. Taken by this sign. Caution, cats crossing. Was it this building? Yeah, quite an old building there. Right, there's one of the signs. This is always helpful to have around. Public footpath, follow orange markers. I actually can't see any. But what I can see over there is real dairy ice cream. About 10 vehicles or so. We are on a public bridleway now, heading north, and we just left a place called Holton East. And up to that point we were heading in a mainly easterly direction, but we're now fully turned north, which I'm happy about. Always happy when I'm going north. So the place we're going to now is a place called Bolton Tower, and Lady Anne was particularly proud of it. She used to, if you came to visit her in Skipton Castle, she would always advise you to, or you almost was compelled to go and have a look at Bolton Tower, because it was one of her favourite places that she'd restored. I've got no idea what it looks like, but that's where we're heading next. Bolton Reservoir. And in the distance should be Bolton Tower. So we're getting close. But for now we're going along this track here. And then we do cut down to the road. And I would imagine that would have been the road or the track that Lady Anne would have taken from Skipton to get to the tower. But for now, we're on the track here. Oh, these are really tight. I was just taken by this. Bardon Moor and Fell Open Access Land. Particularly as it says here. Here at Bolton Abbey, public access has been encouraged since the early 19th century. So there's Skipton. We went across the fields this way. There's the golf course, over to Empsey, and then we kind of came across this way to Holton East. Yeah, there's Holton East. We went up this lane here and then over the tops, and we're now here. And really what happens now is we're going to be broadly following this river, which I think might be the wharf. There's Apple Tree Wick, which I know we go past, Burnsall, and then we're going up here to get to Grassington. I'd imagine Grassington's just up there somewhere. Right, best get on then. There we go, Bolton Tower. First sighting of. Looks pretty impressive. You can see why Lady Anne was proud of it. Well, I wasn't quite expecting this space hoppers, but I believe a wedding's taking place later. And obviously you have to have something to keep the kids amused. And you'll possibly recognise the pathway that's coming there and along down here, because it is the Dales Way. But better for me, I spotted the Yorkshire Dales ice cream. All those stands we saw previously, guess this is one of them. I will indulge. There you go, bit difficult to film and eat, but hey. So definitely can recommend. Brilliant, look at the size of that. Wow. I best concentrate on this now. So we're following the Dale's Way now. So there's camping on Apple Tree Wig. According to my calculations, that's probably about 11 miles into the journey. You can also have coffee and bread. So this is Burnstall. So it's almost like saying the beach at Burnstall. And last time I was coming past on the Dale's Way, they were doing up the loos, which they seem to have done now, with requisite amounts of solar power, which is great to see. Now you think I might be showing you the sign for the car park, but in reality, this looks more interesting. So, having just come up this hill here, it's the first steep climb I've done all day actually, and then come to this bench here, which has got the rose on it of course, but also the little plaque says, "Come rest a while, then get thy seat off my seat and be on thy way." Well, if you looked up where I was going, you know why I'm not so keen. Okay, that's enough browsing. Now I've got to get up the steps and open the gate. So this is where we part company with the Dale's Way. The Dale's Way is heading in a kind of more westerly direction, whereas we are more northern on the Ann Way. Yes, I wasn't paying attention took a wrong turn in. I had to get over the wall here. Bit of a scramble, but all's well. Nothing hurt and nothing broken, including the wall. And I've got to get up this hill. This is a bit steep. Find the path again. So have you noticed when things go wrong, they seem to take a hell of a long time to sort themselves out? I was probably, I don't know, 100 meters as the crow flies off the route I was probably west of my particular route. And it's taken me 20 minutes, half an hour to get back to, well, get to this particular start, which I think is where I need to be. Yeah, I think obviously end of day, concentration goes. Yeah, in fact, I'm just sticking to it now so I can get up higher and get a wild camp sorted out. It's not particularly late, but I'm just feeling tired. Okay, no more whining. I need to get over this stile. Oh yeah, that's very much a path. Just hang on, I'll show you. Yeah, just come over there and you can see how the grass is worn down. Onward. I think we're going up the hill a little bit more, and then I can probably find somewhere to wild camp up there, I would think. We've currently done 16. Once I have my coffee now. Cinnamon latte. I like these because the milk's already in them, and the sweet. Give me energy. You've got to have an Ecclesgate. This is the morning view from the tent. Morning folks, and what a fine morning it is in the Yorkshire Dales. So yesterday I managed to do about 16.5 miles. I got to Grassington, obviously started at Skipton, and then I just pushed on about 1.5 miles past Grassington just to get out into the moors, as you saw. So I'm on my way to a place called Bolton, which is about 12.5 miles away. But I need to probably push on a little bit further than that. I want to get up into the moors, probably add another 3-4 miles on, and also that will take a nice slice out of the following day. So yeah, that's the plan. There's probably not much to see. I don't know if that's true or not. So I don't think there's much to see in relationship to Lady Anne. But I think the scenery that we see will be very much what she would have seen. We don't obviously know the exact route that she would have taken between her castles, but I'm sure you'll get a feel for the landscape. There are parts of today where we follow the Dales Way, so that's nice. And I think a little bit of the High Dales Way as well. In fact, where we were last night reminded me more of the High Dales. Anyhow, no more talking. I definitely need to get on. Come on folks, let's get going. Yes, we're arriving at Castlewell. There is a campsite in Castlewell. I can just about see it in the distance. Where are we going next? Starbotton. 1 3/4 miles apparently. So heading towards Starbotton now. I'm just thinking, if it was in Lancashire, it would probably be called Starbottom. Right, need to get back to the Dales Way. Yes, I'm going on the Dales Way now, because that's the way that Lady Anne Way goes. So Bugden, 2 1/4 miles. There is Buckden in the distance. Fair enough, I will. Buckden Bridge. Beautiful. I need to go over that bridge now to get into Buckden. I can see Buckden village stores in the distance, and I've seen people going, so that's good news. Behind me is Buckden Pike. However, what is more interesting, I think, is that we're now on a path that is part of the Pennine journey, which is a route that Wainwright did. So he started from Settle, walked to Hadrian's Wall, did, I think it was 14 miles of Hadrian's Wall, and then walked back again to Settle. But he did it in a kind of egg shape, or maybe like a paperclip shape, if that makes sense. Yeah, 247 miles I think it was. He did it in a fortnight. Obviously he wasn't wild camping, he was being, I believe. I was going to say youth hostels, but I don't know if he used youth hostels. Does anyone know? Right. So we're on a place called State Moss now, and yep, a place for grouse shooting. There would be your view if you were doing such a thing. Bye bye, Mr. Wainwright. He goes on his Pennine journey that way. We're going this way. Yes, I've got neighbours. Of course, they weren't there when I set up. Thank goodness there's a barbed wire fence. And hopefully they'll disperse and not stay there all night. Thankfully, the cows have gone away. It's just about the right distance. I can cope with that. We saw that escarpment from the other side as we were walking over the moors. Look at the sky.